Yeah, family meetings are a really important tool for families in general. They're a great forum for building connection, for having a place where you can bring up situations, problems, for feeling that you have a voice that counts. So it's a natural tool that one could use to discuss emergency preparedness. And it's a way to have everybody be on the same page, hearing the same information, and making a plan together. Family meetings should be fun. That's the number one rule, so that you have the buy-in and the motivation for children to take part. So it's important to kind of start off light and easy and just make them fun by talking about planning a family outing. So it could just be planning a bike trip or a hiking trip or a picnic in the park. But just planning a family outing together teaches a lot of life skills, like brainstorming and compromise and hearing other people's needs. And so if you can practice that for a little bit first, and then children are excited about them, and if you can differentiate them from a usual dinner where maybe for family meeting you would light candles, or you would play a little game, or you might have a big bowl of popcorn to snack on, but something that makes it kind of fun and a little bit different from the normal sit down around the table time. And then to bring up emergency preparedness, it would be fun to make it kind of hands-on for them. So I would suggest getting some items from an emergency kit and showing them to them. Like, for example, this little radio. You know, children probably haven't seen something like this. Getting them to guess what it is and what it could be used for. And you could have other items like a siren, the flashlight. And so that will create interest right away. Then you could do a little brainstorming game, and you could have a big piece of paper and ask them for all their ideas of what are the things you think we're going to need in our family emergency kit. And then after, you could compare it to the list that's on the St. John Ambulance website and see which items did match and which ones are we missing. And how can we find those other items, or we could go out and buy them. You could do a little pop quiz. So you could say, you know, who's our out-of-province contact, or where's our family meeting spot in the neighborhood. Ask those kinds of questions. And then you could also do a scavenger hunt. And so around the house, you could say, you know, who can count how many smoke alarms we have? How many fire extinguishers do we have? Where are the taps to turn off the water? That we might need to do that in case of an emergency. And so just make it active and fun. And then as long as everybody's in it together, then they're hearing the same information, and they know that there's a plan in place. Psychological emergency preparedness means knowing what's going to be happening in your brain and body and in your child's brain and body in the event of an emergency. So I have this poster here of a brain, and it shows how this area of the brain that's behind our forehead and eyes, and here it's dark purple, is the prefrontal cortex. So with children, I explain this is the wise leader part of your brain. This is the part of our brain that helps to make good decisions, it helps to keep us calm, it helps us to problem solve and think rationally. Then we have these little red almond-shaped pieces here called the amygdala. This is the alarm center of the brain. So in a real emergency, in a crisis moment, this saves us. This is our survival instincts. So you probably remember that fight or flight or freeze response that we're taught about in high school. And that is really important for helping us in the immediate moment of the emergency. The problem is this alarm center of the brain goes off when we get stressed in general. And so if you're experiencing an emergency or knowledge that an emergency is coming, then that alarm center is going to go off right away. And that's going to affect your prefrontal cortex, being able to access information for problem solving and logical thinking. So we need to know how to calm that amygdala down. And so being psychologically prepared for an emergency means parents, first of all, knowing what's happening in their brain and body and knowing the calming down strategies, and then being able to model that and teach that to their children. Well, it would really help with this alarm center of the brain. It may help somebody to not go into full-blown panic. It may help you to make a more rational decision in that moment. And also just knowing that you've already created a plan ahead of time means you don't have to think so much in an emergency. You've already planned out what you're going to do. And so you feel better just knowing we've got a plan and we're just going to immediately implement the plan that we've created. So it could save lives, really, but definitely could help to have the whole family calm down.